Hey everybody, welcome back. Today what I'm going to be talking about is the app itself. So at this point you know how to play Bucaro, you know the ins and outs of the game. What I'm going to be discussing today is how to play Bucaro. In other words, how to play the iOS app on your phone or on your iPad or whatever device you're using to play the game. Um, I took the screen grab for this several weeks ago, so it might be going a little fast in certain areas and a little slow in others. So I'll try to pause it and make sure that you can clearly understand each of the different things I'm trying to get through. But bear with me, and I think we'll be able to make it through this lesson. Again, this is just for those of you interested in actually playing the app and getting other people together. It's an easy way of staying in touch when people aren't very close by and can't get together to play. And for me, it's great because I have family, in India, I have family all over the country. And this way, if I want to play with them, instead of having to actually drive to different states or anything like that, or fly across the country, we have an app that we can just kind of connect to each other with. All right, let's get started. So before I start playing this video, I just wanted to zoom in on the starting interface real quick. So when you start the game, which is again available through iOS on the iPhone or the iPad, and for those of you who have an Android, I apologize. I want to see how this game goes from the iPhone first, and then I'll look at if there's enough interest and enough excitement around it, then I'll work on making an Android version. There is a Bucaro game out there, but I don't know what rules are being played for that particular version. So it whatever they're using, you can kind of maybe make your way based on the explanation I've given in the first 12 lessons, but I don't know exactly what variants they're playing with there. So it might be something to learn about a little bit later. But for the iOS app, the Play Bucaro screen gives you four different buttons to choose from when you start with. The single device button is when you're playing with a bunch of friends locally or family members, and you're playing on a single device, whether it's an iPad or an iPhone or a Mac if that's possible. I think it is now, but don't hold me to that. Um, the Bucaro app lets you play between 2 and 4 players as individuals. There's no team play for this, and I haven't talked about team play in lessons. If anything, that'll be a future lesson that I give out. Again, if there's enough interest that's been generated. But single devices basically, we're all going to play on one iPhone or iPad. Multiple devices is when everybody is playing on their own personal device. This way, you can all link up through the Game Center as offered by Apple, and you can have your own individual device to use while you're playing the game. There's one major difference between the single and the multiple device options, and I'll show you that when we go into the particular setting or particular gameplay. Okay, settings lets you change different settings of the game. There are settings for the number of players, again, 2 through 4. You can change whether or not you're showing the game summary, and you can change whether or not drawn cards or twos are highlighted, and I'll go into more detail about that as I go through the video. The last option is the About screen, and that's just basically a splash screen that has a little bit of background about the game. Again, requests you to leave feedback because I'm trying to get as much information as I can so I can make this game popular and generate enough interest so that it actually gets used. It's kind of a passion project of mine, but it only helps if other people are passionate about it as well. Okay, so I'm going to start the video, and then I'll go through the different buttons. So again, you push any button to get to any screen. This is the settings screen, so you can choose the number of players, game summary, highlighting cards. If I click on multiple devices, you can see right now I've selected 4 players through settings. Reliable Noble 7 is me, for this particular device. But if I change the number of players to 3, you can see that the number goes down. So I can invite as many friends up to 4 as I want. But I'm going to play on single device mode, and that's what I'm showing here. So I'm going to pause this for a second, and this is the single device screen here. So you can see there's 4 players as set by the settings option that I did before I started this game on single device. The right-hand side shows 2 things. The game summary, which tells you the status of all the players in the game. So it has the player's name, which in this case is player 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then it has the number of cards remaining by each player. Since it's the beginning of the game, each player has 13 cards remaining because the cards were just dealt out, and how many points they've earned. Now, points earned is the number of cards they've played plus bonuses. I don't subtract out any cards that are in their hand because you actually should not know that, right? You only know that at the very end of the game when everyone discloses the cards in their hand. So points earned is always a living update of what is shown on the board at any given time in real time. On the bottom right, you have basically the game event status screens. The player's turn is player 1, and you can see on the very top left of the screen, player 1's name is highlighted in blue. that indicates that it's their turn. When player one's turn ends, you'll notice that it shifts over to player two, and player two's name will be highlighted in blue, and the turn status will be updated. Below the turn status is the phase. Now there's three phases as we've gone through before. Right now, player one is starting the game, so they're in their draw phase or their collect phase, right? And then, of course, after they draw or collect a card, which can be shown done from the center of the screen, you have the deck on the left and the discard pile is the eight of clubs on the right. You can collect or draw by click or tapping on either of those two sections, either on the deck itself to draw or on the discard pile to collect. Now, once you do that, that'll start the scoring phase. The phase will never update to the discard phase because once you discard, the next player's turn starts, so it immediately jumps over to player two or the next player's draw slash collect phase. But it does update you as that happens. The last is the status of Bukaro. So right now, up until somebody collects Bukaro, Bukaro is always put down as available, and the tab is highlighted in green. Once Bukaro gets taken, the setting will be highlighted or the status will be updated to taken and it will change color to red so that you know Bukaro is taken and you're approaching the end game. Okay. Below that, you have your options buttons. Settings goes back to that settings menu that I showed you before, so you can update in real time whether you want a game summary or if you want card highlights. There might be other things to add to the settings. If you think about it and you say, hey, this would be great to have, please let me know. Lastly, endgame. Endgame, as it says, ends the game at any time. So if the players decide they want to quit, you push that button, it ends the game. It updates everybody's score immediately based on the points they've scored and minus the cards that they have in hand, and it gives you the final winner. It's nice like that or terrible like that, depending on how you look at it. Okay, so that's the basic interface that you see here. Now let's actually walk through the game a little bit. So it's player one's turn as shown by the blue, and they have a choice between taking the eight of clubs or drawing a card. But the eight of clubs is something they can use. So if I tap on that center discard pile, the card will actually get picked up. And you notice that it comes out in blue, and that's because I have highlight cards shown up here. And you can see if I disable that in the settings menu by pushing that settings tab, that blue goes away. All right. Now what I'm showing here is that I can only place cards by tapping on the scoring pile, which is the green area below it, but it'll automatically make sure that it's a valid set or a run. So finally I get the 8765 and I tap on the screen right below. And if I swipe up and swipe down, I can see the full display of the screen because right now it shows that shorthanded version of the run like I'd mentioned in one of the previous lessons. Now I'm going to highlight drawn cards again just to put it back on. And then if I click on my card and I tap on the discard pile, it'll discard, my cards will flip over, and it'll go to player two. Now I missed something there, and I'll show it a little bit later. But you can see the turn is updated to player two. I drew a card, and now I'm discarding a card, and now it's player three's turn. And it's going a little bit fast, so I'm going to pause it on the next active option here, where I want to show you what's going on. But now you have a four and a six. Player three elects to pick it up. You can see multiple cards highlighted because I've picked up multiple cards. And now I tried to put down a 7, 6, 9, and 4. That wasn't valid, but I can put down a 7, 2, and 4, right? And what you'll see here is that the 2 is red. Well, that's because the 2 is in an unnatural position. So I have unnatural 2s listed as red, or highlighted as red. You can still see the cards that I've collected that remain in my hand. There's that 6 of diamonds. But let me keep playing a little bit, and then I'll show you the next thing. If I disable highlight, oh, in that case, I disabled highlight drawn cards, so you won't see it. But if I disable highlight unnatural twos and I go back to the game by clicking on single device, you can see that that went away. But now I've turned them back on, so you can see that the highlight has come back on. Okay, so I'm going to discard. Oh, I guess the last thing is to show you that if you turn the game summary off, that whole game summary goes away as well. But now the game summary is showing again. I'm going to discard that queen, and let me rewind a little bit and pause it right after I discard that queen. So what I wanted to show you is the main difference between single player and multiplayer. If you look on the game summary or on the right side of the screen right now, you see that blue button that says start turn in the middle. And this is the time in between when player three has just finished and player four has just started, right? We don't want player three or any of the other players to see player four's hand. So at this point, what you're doing is you're actually physically passing the device over to player 4. And when player 4 presses that start turn button, then their cards will flip over and they can begin having some actions. You'll also notice, you won't see it here, and I don't think I showed in the video, but if I swipe up and down at this phase, no cards are being shown because we don't want anyone to see by accident or on purpose what another player's cards are, unless that player foolishly decides, hey, I want to show you everything that I got, and then you'll actually physically show them during your turn. So this is our quote unquote safe way of handing off devices so that there's no accidental cheating. I mean, obviously a player can cheat, but we're trying to make it as fair as possible for gameplay. Okay, let me go resume the video. Player 4 will immediately press that start turn button and you see the cards flip over. And you also see that the turn has been updated and the player 4 has been highlighted this whole time. So now it's player 4's turn. You see the queen is in the middle. They can either pick up or draw. They've decided to draw. I think they're probably just going to throw 10 of spades. So you click on the tennis or whatever card, and then you tap on the discard pile, so that card gets discarded. Goes back to player 1, and we're going to just cycle through for a second so I can show you one last thing. As you can see, the cards are just getting collected and updated. Looks like player 2 can make an ace king queen run. They're going to discard the 5 by tapping down onto the discard pile. Looks like player 3 is going to collect, so they tap down the discard pile. You see all the 4 cards are highlighted. They make a 6-5-4 run, and they're going to drop the 3 of hearts. Now it's player 4's turn. Now check this out. Player 4 has an ace 2-3 of hearts, but you notice that the 2 is unnatural, and you see how that card turned green? Let me rewind it really quickly because I think it's going a little too fast for me again. So they made that 3-2 of hearts, and it turned green, right? That 2 is a natural 2. So you can see unnatural 2s turn red, and natural 2s turn green. So that lets you realize, hey, my 2 is in a natural position. My 2 is not in a natural position. What can I do with it? So you can, it does dynamically update. So if, for example, if that 2 was eventually, if you got the 5 and the 3 of spades and you move that 2 down to its natural position, that red 2 would become green. So it just lets you, for those of you who are beginning or for those of you who just like to keep it simple, it lets you stay aware of where your 2s are and what can be done with them. So you don't accidentally go from a natural run to an unnatural run, or you can work on going from unnatural to natural, just to make the game a little bit easier. And for those of you who want a challenge, you can always remove them from the settings. It gives you the option, right? Okay, so now that we have a little bit more cards shown during the game, I'm going to use the swipe up and swipe down so I can show you the full screens. Now there's a couple things to keep in mind. What the swipe up and swipe down do is they will show you the expanded sets and runs that have been played. So for example, for player 1, 8-5 will then become 8-7-6-5. You'll see all 4 cards. You'll also, all the cards on the top of the screen will get spread out. So for those of you who might have a little bit of trouble reading, everything's so compressed, you'll be able to spread it out so you can see your cards more clearly. Now you cannot play sets or runs from those swipe up and swipe down screens, but you can at least get a better idea of what you have and what the other players have. Because I know when you're playing with more players, the full screen interface gets a little bit more difficult to see. And this is the main interface that you're looking at right now. So let me go ahead and play again. And you'll see, now I'm swiping up player 1, I can see their cards. Of course, their hand is flipped over, but I can see at least what they've played. And then as player 4, I can see my cards, and I can swipe left and right to see the full remaining cards in my hand. I have 11 cards based on the game summary. And if I tap anywhere, I can't do anything except on my hand. Again, swiping up and swiping down lets me go to the screen, but I can't do anything from there either if I tap cards. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, one last thing. You are able to change your names on Play Bucaro. If, for example, as player 1, I can do this from a single device and I can do it from multiple devices, but if I tap my name, so if I tap player 2, for example, or player 3, it'll go to the name selection screen and it will just ask me what I want for my name, and I can type in anything. So I've gone ahead and typed in the names that I've put on the Bucaro app download page just to kind of keep things similar and also to do some shameless plugging. Again, tell your friends, please feel free to download, leave us some feedback. We'd love to hear anything that anyone has to say about the game, whether positive or negative. It'll only help us make the game better. Okay, and obviously, most important rule of Bucaro is to have fun. All right, last thing is, player 1 has started his turn, he's decided to quit. You can always press that end game button. So let player 1 do its thing, and you can see the game summary has been updated with the names now that I've changed it, and even though the turn has not. So that's something, oh, looks like it does. So it's something that hasn't worked. I just pushed the end game button, and you can see here, went a little bit too fast for me. Sorry if I rewind a little. Um, there we go, pausing it. Basically what it did is it just updated the game with the scores that have been played minus the cards that you don't see that are in each player's hand. And it looks like based on that, even though everybody has a significant negative score, Leave Us Feedback Please has won with a score of negative 50. Obviously, this would change if the game was actually finished in a natural way, but in this case, somebody pushed the end game button, and so it automatically leaves you with a winner. If you like that, let me know. If you hate that, let me know. It's just the current option as it is right now. Okay, I think that's basically the end of the video. Once you go back to menu, you actually go back to the menu. So just shows you that. And then this is the about screen. So don't really need to show you anything there. All right, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I truly appreciate all the feedback I've gotten and all the support and criticism that I've gotten for these videos. This page is nothing without the people that are watching it and providing feedback and keeping me engaged. And I cannot stress enough how much I appreciate all your help. For those of you, again, if you're interested and you've enjoyed these and you are enjoying Bucaro, please share these videos with your friends. I'd love to hear more about the games you've played. And if you have videos and you want me to post them online of like, hey, this was a cool thing that I learned on the app, or hey, you got to think about this game, or hey, this particular version of the game had this crazy situation happened, or hey, I have a grandparent or a great grandparent that played Bucaro and they just want to share some history. I'd love to hear about it. I mean, just send me a video or send me some notes, shoot me a DM. I'd love to hear this information. Um, but just in basics, the idea is to get more people playing Bucaro and just to start kind of a community of Bucaro players out there. So you know where the game is. You can download it on the App Store. The book is available on Amazon. Please feel free to leave comments and criticisms and appreciation on the website as well. That's playbucaro.com. I think I have the link in the notes on all the lessons as well. But we're done for now. I'm going to take a little bit of time to figure out what to do next, but I'm thinking I'll add some more videos for different card games that I've learned over the years that I really enjoy. Not so much have as much of a personal passion project like this was, but because it's gotten some good feedback, I just figured I'd throw those in as well for some other games. But also, if there are people who post in more variants in the notes and stuff like that, I can also update the Play Bucaro with these variants, go into things like team play, and just talk more about general things about the game and make it more of a community interest type of channel as opposed to just a lessons channel. I want to appreciate some of the variants that I've already heard about right now. One user told me about this very cool method for getting Bucaro where you don't actually get rid of all the cards in your hand, but it's actually the first player who plays 100 points on the table, they get Bucaro instead. So it's a variant about the from the standard rules, but that's a really neat way of playing. So in the end, there's only one time that you actually finish all your cards, and that's finishing the game. If you get 100 points before that, you get Bucaro. If you don't, you finish the game, and that's it. So it's a little bit of a twist on the strategy that I've usually played with, but that's a totally different and totally unique way of playing the game, and I really appreciate him for coming out and telling me about that. Again, probably more to talk about for this page, but I'll wait till I hear some more feedback. Again, thank you all for watching these videos. I truly appreciate it. Have a fantastic day, and we'll talk soon. Take care.